In the early 1990s, New Zealand was experiencing a rapid dairy expansion, with large numbers of stock being shifted from the North to the South Island. When Otahonga transport operator Jim Barker struggled to book space for his stock on the existing Cook Strait ferry service, he began his own, along with 3 other shareholders. Jim's daughter, Cheryl Allison, is now Managing Director of Strait Shipping.
Strait Shipping was formed in 1992 by my father, Jim Barker, Otahonga Transport, a master mariner, Captain Derek Boyce, Tony Johnson, who's a chief engineer, and Doug Smith, who was a businessman. And at the time, they were moving really large numbers of dairy cows with herd conversions down south. And Jim was experiencing increasing frustration with what was then New Zealand Rail. So he had about 10 to 15,000 head of dairy cows to move, and New Zealand Rail told him they couldn't accommodate them that season because they were taking the ship out of service. So he decided that he would just go and get his own ship. So from there, they went and chartered the Straitsman from Tasmania and brought her home against a lot of angry pickets and protests, and off she went. With the old Gypsy Week and the 3 months of, which was 3 months back then, of herd shifting, the Straitsman had a little ro-ro deck, just about 120 lane metres, and on that ro-ro deck would go all the farm gear, the tractors, the trailers, the swings, the whole household, and out of that just grew a demand for a little bit of ro-ro freight. So we started getting a few more people asking if they could put things on the ro-ro deck, and we kept going that way. And then we decided to focus on that because the vessel had to actually work 12 months of the year, not just the 3 months of herd shift. The biggest issue that drove that was price. Prior to that original Straitsman starting off with Livestock, it cost you about $2,700 each way for a livestock truck and trailer. Even today, it's around $1,000 loaded and about $750 if you're empty. It opened up the Cook Strait livestock market to both sides, and that's where it sits today. Stock heads both ways all year round. Taylor Preston, which is a freezing works up in the gorge, they were relatively new. Our business and their business about the same time, and so they would buy stock in the South Island and they would ship it north up to their works. So those sort of markets enabled us to develop a year-round market that wasn't so seasonal. Currently we're running 2 vessels, the Straitsman, which was named after the original Straitsman. The original Straitsman had a vehicle deck, a ro-ro deck of 120 lane metres. The new Straitsman's got a vehicle deck of 1,200 lane metres and 400 passengers. And then we have just launched the Strait Feronia, and she is 2,000 lane metres, so there's a big difference. She can take 60 trucks, so when you're putting 60 trucks on and then you're taking 60 trucks off, that's a lot of space that's required. In terms of passengers, we can take 150 cars, so you need space to line them all up before they go on, and you need access and that to send them through. So we're working with Centreport on growth plans and how we grow our business and what we do and utilisation of space. I guess as the economy in New Zealand grows, freight's an indicator of it. So if the country's growing, the freight's growing, and the baked beans have got to end up in the supermarket somehow. That side of our business has been a strong movement. We work closely with livestock carriers. They know what they're doing, the same as the farmer knows what they're doing. We work to the Animal Transport Welfare Code, which the trucking operator works to, which the farmer works to. So I guess the guidelines and rules about transporting are all there. The conditions have to be right for livestock, so a disruption needs to be notified as early as possible, because from the time the cow gets picked up, if the sailing's cancelled when it gets there, it has to be put somewhere else. Long-legged animals stop first, so horses and deer, and then if it gets a bit rougher than that, then it's cattle, and then right down to sheep. Sheep and pigs are about the same as people, actually. When you stop carrying sheep, stop carrying people. We're dealing with Cook Strait. It has its own reputation, which is probably well earned, but it's what we've always dealt with. So we understand it, we know it, and basically when it gets too rough, you stop and you park up and you wait for it to blow over, and then you go again. Currently we've got a staff that ranges between 270 and 300 people. About 70% of those actually work on the vessels. The drivers are a critical component to the service that we've always offered. We look after them. They become, I guess, part of us. A lot of them, will cross with you 3 or 4 times a week, so you're sort of their second home. Like anybody, they want a good meal, so they're provided with a meal and they're provided with a cabin, and they can choose to put their head down and have a sleep or not. I think the desire to understand what the driver wants and needs comes from the transporting background. We're born from a freight company. We've always looked after the drivers, and basically they see this as a bit of just an extension of their own companies. We've been successful because we've got great people. Right from day one, we've had the attitude and the belief in delivering customer service. So we've managed to build a growing, loyal customer base that have been with us from the start, and as they've grown their business, we've grown ours to meet their demand.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.